Newsom reacting to Vice President Vance's speech today, challenging him with a debate. The governor saying in part, quote, "Since you're so eager to talk about me, how about saying it to my face? Let's debate time and place." Well, for more on this story, we bring in Pasadena Congresswoman Judy Chu, who joins us now live. Judy, Representative Chu, thank you so much for joining us. Of course, I know you personally as well, which is why I was inclined to call you Judy. So, Judy, once again, I did that. Representative Judy Chu, what is your response to what J.D. Vance had to say today about our fair city?
So, J.D. Vance wrong that he called Senator Alex Padilla. I mean, it just showed out of touch. He said all kinds of rhetoric straight out of the MAGA that LA was a violent city. Of course, the violent protests have diminished tremendously. He said that raids are, that's why he thinks that there should be the National Guard and the Marines still here. But in reality, the raids seem to be mostly targeting regular, everyday people and not the criminals that he was supposed to be taking out. And in fact, now the community is terrorized by ICE agents that are coming all over the place, to Home Depots, to car washes, to regular places. In fact, they went to my area of Pasadena, to the Winchell's Donut on Los Robles, and picked up 6 immigrants and detained them. So these are your friends, these are your neighbors. This is not the right thing to do, and I think J.D. Vance got it all wrong.
Yeah, Congresswoman, let me just ask you, let's go back to the statement that J.D. Vance made about Senator Padilla. Do you think that was on purpose, that he misspoke his name or used a totally different name than Alex Padilla?
I think that he was out of it. I think that he is just concentrating on his rhetoric. And by the way, I have to point out something. J.D. Vance served with Alex Padilla during the entire time he was in the Senate. So clearly he knew who Alex Padilla was. I just think J.D. Vance had no idea what he was talking about.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the Ninth Circuit Court's decision upholding the president's ability to send in and nationalize or federalize the National Guard. What is your response to that?
It goes against what the law has said. You are not supposed to use the American military against people who are in the United States unless there is an actual bona fide insurrection and some kind of rebellion going on. And do you see this rebellion going on? Actually, I was right there where those National Guard people were yesterday, and I saw peace. I saw people protesting, but very, very peacefully. And there is no reason to bring these National Guard and Marines down here. In fact, actually, they only serve to inflame the situation.
Well, meantime, the vice president was kind of clear. He described the city as still being in turmoil, but in fact, you and the mayor have pointed out that we're talking about a very small number of people that were the bad actors. So speak to that. How many peaceful protesters have you seen?
I went to so many rallies, so many, especially during the No Kings rallies day, and they were all peaceful, and they in fact actually had children there. They had disabled people there. People were raising their voices, but they were very, very eager to make sure that their voices were heard. Karen Bass points out the area that had those violent protesters, which of course we do not condone any kind of violence, but that was pretty much in 1 square mile of Los Angeles, which is actually 500 square miles. The vast majority of Angelenos were peaceful.
Well, since you went down to Adelanto to check out some detainees in that facility, what have you learned?
We went there to talk to those who had been detained in the LA raids and also to see what the conditions were in Adelanto. What we found out was that for so many of these people who have been detained, officers are not identifying themselves. In fact, they have masks on, and yet they are demanding that these detainees sign things. The detainees we talked to, fortunately, were wise enough not to sign anything. Nonetheless, they were detained, taken to the Metropolitan Detention Center, were not given food for the entire time, 12 hours, and could not contact their loved ones or any legal representatives during that whole time as well, 12 hours. Then they were taken to vans and kept there for hours, handcuffed, and then sent to the Santa Ana Detention Center and then to Adelanto. So it was extremely frightening for them. Their families were frantic, and also they needed that legal representation, which is their right.
Well, what is your response to this? We emailed Gio, the facility manager, and the response was, and we relayed a lot of your concerns, and the response was, well, if the detainees have any complaints, ICE agents are there. They should take it up with them. What's your response to that?
Gio makes $1 billion a year from their contracts with the federal government for these private prisons. They are actually the ones responsible for conditions at Adelanto. And when we were there, we asked the detainees what was going on. They were jumping up and down because they hadn't had a change of clothes in 10 days, including their underwear and socks. They could not get a PIN to be able to call out on the telephone, and they showed us the piles of papers that they had applying for that PIN. And also, I examined all the telephones, and there were those that were not working. So the conditions are clearly deficient there, and that needs to be corrected immediately.
Representative Judy Chu, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much.